Welcome, everyone. My name is Glennon Stratton, and I'm one of the lead organizers for the event. We are so excited to have you here to build community with STEAM and build community with one another. And we're really excited to get started today. And now I'd like to introduce the CEO of the CDE Foundation, Jessica Howard.
Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to be with you this morning. I'm going to ask the team just to make sure we're good to give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on this adventure with us today. Those of you who've joined us for the California STEAM Symposium in person in the past know that it's usually a festival of all of us being there together in person. However, building community these days means being creative about doing it online, looking at screens, smiling and waving to one another, and unfortunately not being able to do that in person. That also means we're all getting to learn a lot about technology, as I'm sure you've all experienced lately too. I'm just really excited that you've all joined us for this chance to connect as a community. We knew from the beginning in working with our partners, as you'll see in our co-hosts here, that connecting as a community is core to STEAM. It's core to everything we're doing, and it's core to the way that we can successfully return back to learning for back to school, no matter what that looks like for everyone. So not only do I thank you for joining us, I want to thank our team for doing an incredible job for something that was just an idea not so long ago, because we knew we wanted to connect with you earlier than December, even though we're very excited about having you join us virtually December 11th through 13th later this year. I really want to thank not only our co-hosts, as you saw on the screen, the California Department of Education, as well as the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, but also our incredible presenting sponsor who's been with us from the beginning at the symposium, Chevron, truly the human energy company who we appreciate in helping us bring this energy together today. I also want to thank our other sponsors who you see at the screen here, the S.E. Bechtel Jr. Foundation, the California State University, their amazing team, the Heising Simons Foundation, the Anaheim Ducks, First Five California, KQED, 49ers Foundation and their EDU program, the Social Justice Learning Institute, who I'm very excited to hear from shortly, as well as our fantastic partners at the California STEAM Network. Speaking of the Social Justice Learning Institute, I'm thrilled that we're starting things off with a panel with their staff and students. And really, there is no better way to think about community than to make sure that we are not only embracing and including the voices of key members of our community, but truly uplifting them as leaders. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I want to thank our moderator, Tyler Vernon, their youth services coordinator, for helping us with this wonderful conversation, and just say, enjoy. We'll all see you through the day.
Hello, everyone. We are just waiting for one more, but thank you for joining the California STEAM Symposium Back to School Pre-Conference. My name is Tyler Vernon, and as Jessica Howard mentioned, I am the Youth Services Coordinator at the Social Justice Learning Institute. For those of you who may not know, the Social Justice Learning Institute is a community-based nonprofit located in Inglewood, California, that is committed to empowering youth through education, creating thriving communities, and changing systems. These outcomes are made possible through research, training, and community mobilization. This morning, I'll be serving as your moderator for the student panel. With that said, let's kick off this segment with some brief introductions. So for my panelists, can you please give a brief introduction, your full name, your gender pronouns if you feel comfortable sharing, where you call home, which school district you attend, and the type of school that you attend, whether that's public, private, community, independent, and then briefly share your STEAM story.
I am Juan Estrada, and I go to Animo Inglewood Charter High School. And I'm currently in the 10th grade, and I'll be going to 11th. And my STEAM story, my most memorable STEAM story is when in 8th grade we created a car out of wood, and we tested it, whose car was faster, and whoever's car was faster won. And that's my STEAM story.
Thank you, Juan. For our next student panelist, can you please share a brief introduction, your name, your school that you attend, gender pronouns, and your STEAM story?
Hello, my name is Emmanuel Conry, and my gender pronouns are he, him, his, and the school I attend is University Pathways Medical Magnet Academy. And a STEM story that I can think of is I don't know, but a lot of times during like my school career, we went to the California Science Center, and even though we went a lot of times, it was still fun each time I went there, and I always learned something new. So that's a STEAM story for me.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And I'll share a little bit about myself. Again, Tyler Vernon, the Youth Services Coordinator at the Social Justice Learning Institute. I've had some very good experiences with STEAM and some not so great experiences with STEAM. Um, I have this opportunity to speak with you all and facilitate urban health fellowship programming. So that's one of the more positive interactions I've had with STEAM. But when I graduated college as a biology major, I was one of two Black men. So just having that opportunity wasn't as great, seeing, not having others that were from communities that I was from be a part of that success. Thank you for the introduction. So our first question of the day is, how has COVID-19 affected you and your family outside of being a student?
I could take the question first. Personally, COVID-19 has affected me like in multiple different ways. In my family, like my mom, her being a nurse practitioner and her having to deal with patients that have the disease, it has her being scared, and she's always trying to make sure she doesn't like contract it or bring it home. And it has my dad. He has a store where he sells different like types of foods and goods, and it has made like foods the prices go up, so it's affecting his business. And as a student, it's different because this is like my first time ever doing like online school, and at first, it took me some time to get used to it, but then after a while, it was fine.
Okay, thank you for that, Emmanuel. Juan?
For my family, my sister is a senior at UCLA Film School, and she needed to do her final project so she can show off to employees later on to show her what her work is. But due to COVID-19, she couldn't do that, and she struggled to create her final project. And for my brother, he got a promotion at Honda, but they end up not promoting him because they didn't want to bring in new workers to a work environment to stop the spread of COVID-19. And my other sister, she worked at our Navy, and she handled customers every day, and that gave her high exposure to COVID-19. And my father, he is a gardener, and some of his employers told him to stop coming to their house because they were in fear of catching COVID-19.
Wow. Wow. So definitely I see that, COVID-19 has impacted not only your schooling, but your family life as well. Um, so with the shift to virtual learning and, having to engage with your academics online, did you feel supported in your mental health during this time of high stress?
Juan, you want to go first or should I go first?
Sure. So my school had a thing every morning called advisory, and it was Google Slides, and it would just talk about our mental health and what we can do to better ourselves. And because of that, I felt supported on my mental health.
Personally, I felt like I was supported because of like organizations like SGLI and my other organization, the Brother Son Sales Coalition. We were all constantly like in contact, and they were constantly asking how we felt about like the disease. Like, do we have any like personal things going on at home? Do you feel supported with like our school and stuff like that? So I felt like I was supported during the time.
Okay, awesome, awesome. It's great to hear that you all had some supports during this time to navigate, not only COVID, but a lot of the social and civil unrest that's happening nationwide.
Mm.
So with that said, can you all share a memorable experience with STEAM, whether that's positive or negative, in completing a STEAM-related project, assignment, or experience? And how does that experience continue to resonate with you today?
I think I could take it first. Um, an experience that I never forgot was when I moved from my first middle school, Curtis Middle School in Carson, to my second middle school, Dawson Middle School in Rancho Palos Verdes. I never forgot it because it was like they were just like really different experiences. When I went to Curtis, we didn't really have any like clubs. We didn't have that many resources and things like that. But then when I went to Dawson, it was like a full 180. And I noticed when I got to my math class at my old school, like math, it was easy, it was like quick, it was nothing. But then when I got to Dawson, I was behind because they were doing things that were way forward. They were just doing things like I had never seen before. They had taken classes and had resources I had never seen at my old school. And it just really showed me like the disparity in these two areas. Because Rancho Palos Verdes is like a more affluent area than Carson. So it just showed me how things like that play an effect in people's lives.
Emmanuel, if you don't mind me asking, what were some of those differences that you noticed between the two schools when you alluded to the resources?
At Dawson, there was like a whole bunch of clubs. There was clubs I had never heard of. There was a lot more students. There was a lot more people coming in there on buses. Like at Curtis, there was about what 2 or 3 buses. At Dawson, there was like a whole, there was like 10 buses that were bringing in students. And when I went there to Dawson, there was a banner that had showed like their rating, like they were like a high rated school and everything. And it was just like, and they had like a lot more opportunities. They had like a yearbook club. It was just totally different. It felt like Dawson was more preparing you for college than Curtis was.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Mine would be the time I had to build a prosthetic arm for my class Mesa because I felt there was a great disadvantage because we competed against other schools and those schools had teachers who specialized in coding and had materials. When in my school we had to purchase our own materials and our teacher didn't really know much besides, what he taught. But for that, we just kind of like had to do our own research. And when it came to the day of the competition, we end up not even putting our project to compete because we felt there was such a huge disadvantage and we just didn't think we had a chance at all. So we threw it away before the competition.
Thank you. Thank you. So, both of your experiences kind of highlight the lack of resources or the abundance of resources that other schools may have had compared to the schools that you were at. Um, the next question I have for you all is how did the incidence of police and racial violence in the spring and the reaction of the country affect you and your capacity to learn?
You want to take a first one or?
Sure. So I was slightly stressed more than usual, but I was mainly concerned for my friends who are black because for them that's something they deal in the daily and they have to worry about their parents, their brothers or sisters, and for them it was kind of hard to continue just doing the work without teachers being like without touching the topic. They felt a lot like the teachers were being insensitive because they would just send work, work, and work, and they didn't really ask anyone of how they're doing.
Okay. Personally, at my school, like luckily for me at my school, most almost all of my teachers are black. Yeah, all my teachers are black at my school, and like they knew the like how the situation felt, and so when the situation like all everything was happening, we were able to like before like class started, we were able to talk about it, like how we felt and like share our thoughts, and like while it was stressful because you're seeing all like these different things, and like when I see like all those people protesting, like they look like me and like they look like my family members and they have me stressed. But then when I was able to talk to like my teachers and other students, it like helped me like debrief stuff like that.
Awesome. And a follow up for both of you to that question is: did you have opportunities to respond not only to the incidents of police and racial violence, but how you were feeling during that time?
Yeah, I was able to respond. Like at Stellar, we had like a big like Zoom call where we all just like voiced our opinions, how we felt, and like what we wanted to say about it. And even like during my school, like after my classes, we had office hours if we wanted to just talk to the teacher and like unload like anything that was going on. So yeah.
For me, my school has like a Google Classroom and it had my whole grade level in the class, and we just put like comments on the class comments about how we felt, and the principal would respond and stuff. So Yeah.
Did you all find those opportunities to engage and respond helpful?
Yeah, me personally, I felt like it helped because when I talked to somebody else and like they might have like the same opinion, it made me feel like I wasn't alone and like somebody else was thinking like the same thing. Like it didn't like at some I don't know, it just some thoughts I was like, am I the only one thinking this? But like when somebody else like voices their opinions, they're like, no, I feel the same way. It like helps. I feel like
Gotcha. That validation of those feelings.
yeah.
Got it. Juan, what about you?
Yeah, because I felt like our voices were heard.
Okay, awesome. Okay. The next question is about your distance learning experience. So during that shift from about mid-March to now, what tactics did you find were most engaging in your STEAM learning that your teachers utilized? And what did you like about the distance learning, and what did you dislike?
Hold on, you going first? Because I don't want to keep
Um,
going first.
yeah. So, what I liked the most was that our teachers based our lessons on Google Slides, and they would, in some slides, they would add like videos of them talking that explains the lesson and what we're gonna do that day. Um, and then also they had office hours, so if we ever needed help, we could hop onto Zoom and join their office hours, and they would explain to us in more depth. And what I disliked about, I'm sorry, but what I disliked
Oh,
about distance learning is that I needed like a space to really work and silence. Like when it came to the AP test, I was frustrated because I couldn't hear all the noise around like my neighbors talking, people cooking food, and that was very frustrating for me.
okay. Me personally, like the same thing as that Juan was talking about. It was saying for like dislike, like I live with like a lot of people, so like my siblings, they'll make noise and then it'll bother me, or I have to get up and check them while I'm in class. And like at first, when we first started, it wasn't really organized because they didn't really know when we were going back or if we were going back. But then like after like the superintendent like declared everything and like everything was like final, they started giving us a schedule which I liked. And our classes weren't like as long as like usual classes. They made them shorter. And I like that because it gave me more time during the day to do assignments, and they gave us more time to submit assignments because they understood that like it was harder to learn at home than it was in the classroom.
Awesome. Thank you. What, if any, distance learning strategies did your teachers use that didn't work for you?
Um, um, I don't. Well, personally, I felt like because we weren't like at school, a lot of students they didn't really like a lot of students didn't come to the meetings, and I feel like they didn't really affect me, but it like affected my friends. 'Cause I know if somebody's not like telling them like to go, they're not gonna go. Like I might text them, but they might not still go. And I feel like because it's Zoom, they might not like feel that it's needed to go to the class. So it's not really like a strategy that like my teachers like had a control of, but it's just something about Zoom that didn't make all students come.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to agree with Emmanuel on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thanks. Um, so going forward, what recommendations do you have for educators about how they can better engage students like yourselves in STEAM learning?
Uh, Something that I feel like really helps engage is like before you start like learning, you might just talk about like something that's happening. Like, you can talk about sports just started up, so I don't know. Maybe you can talk about like sports or something. Get something that like students can respond to, and like something that's like happening in the world before. Like instead of just going straight into like the teaching, because I feel like that helps. Like with my history class, like our teacher, he'll talk to us about like different things like a movie or something, and then we'll get into a lesson. I feel like that helps.
Um, I agree. I think that a student and teacher should have like a good relationship and talk about, current events that are going around. Because I noticed that teachers with like better relationships with the students, the kids were actually doing the work. Like, for example, my art class, the teacher had good relationship with the students, and a lot of the students did the work. But from my biology class, since a lot of students didn't really like her, I guess, only like 3 people did the final.
Okay. Um, Following up on what Emmanuel talked about with engaging students with things outside of the class to kind of bring everyone together and then get everyone focused, do you all have any personal examples of ways that your teachers did this when you had the shift to virtual learning?
Yeah. So for my math teacher, she held a club, and we would do Zoom calls, and we would talk about, you know, things that are currently happening, and we engaged in that way.
Like I was saying earlier, like in my an example that I have is in my math class, my teacher, she usually instead of like starting with like a math question, she'll ask us like a different question. She'll ask like, is there any like good shows that you've been streaming like lately, or like what's something good that you ate recently? Something that's like relaxed. I feel yeah, relaxed. Something that's like relaxed and like not hard to think about and like easy to talk about.
Okay, awesome, awesome.
Hi, Tyler. I have a quick question from the audience, if I could interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
So, Shauna asked, and this is for Juan and Emmanuel, how would you both suggest for teachers and students to build relationships, especially with the new school year starting? You may not know your teacher, right? So your relationship will be built virtually. Are there some ways that you two recommend for teachers to build these relationships with students without having met in person?
I think what I did in freshman year would work fine is ask the students to create a collage of their favorite things, and you can do the same thing as well. And you guys can then compare to see what things you guys have in common and talk about the things you do have in common. So I think that's a great way to start a relationship going.
Something that my teacher did, like when like school first started, we didn't like just jump into like the lesson. No, yeah, when we were doing virtual learning. Well, no, I don't think I'll talk about virtual learning because I want to talk about like when school year first started. When the school year first started, we didn't just jump into lesson. It was more like at first it was just like get to know each other. Like we did like an activity where we would go around the room and ask each other questions so we could learn more about each other. And we did it with the teacher too. So like I feel like asking like different things, like asking questions and seeing what you connect with somebody else with, that helps.
Great, thank you.
All right. Following up on recommendations that you have for educators, what recommendations do you have for building community in this time of physical distancing?
Something that my some of my teachers do is, well, yeah, some of my teachers they'll give out like they'll give their like personal information to students and they'll help like so the teacher and like the student can like talk one on one, like if they have any problems or any like thoughts or like any like questions about like the assignments or different things like that, or if you just want to talk, like I have like some teachers at my school that like they're just chill with like the students like outside of like the education and stuff like that. So I feel like that helps.
Thank you.
I think that if a teacher creates like a Google Classroom with the class, and everyone can just leave comments when they have a question about something, and everyone can see, and I think that creates a community, because if someone has like the same question, they can relate to something, or it doesn't even have to be related to school. Someone can post an interesting article, and we go look at it and see if we found it interesting too.
Outside of school, how did you engage, with any clubs, any, your community, with your family and any other, communities that you're a part of? How did you engage with them in creative ways?
Like I mentioned before about like having the Zoom call with my teacher because she run the club, we did that, and we even have like a group chat on our phone, and we text about updates about the club and stuff like that, which is nice to have.
What we did is we also had Zoom calls, and we would have like we have like an app that we connect through. My other organization, the Breast Health Coalition, we have like an app called Band that we just like text in. Like it might be about like meetings and stuff like that, or you could just put in something that you saw funny or like something that you just want to talk about, things like that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
So, Juan, this is a follow-up question for you. Shauna asked, did you have multiple Google Classrooms during school?
Yes, I had Google Classrooms for each class. I did.
Okay, that's good to know. And the general question for you both mentioned that students sometimes did not attend Zoom calls, right? And that happens often.
Yeah.
We see students not going to classes.
Mhm.
So what do you think are good strategies for educators who want to engage with students who aren't attending the virtual lessons? What can teachers do?
Um, I feel like if they connect with like one of the students that are in the classes, and then they tell them to connect with the student that's not in the class, I feel like that helps. Because me personally, I went to like every single Zoom class, but then I also had like a friend that didn't go all the time, and I would try and remind her, and I would try and get her the information that we were learning about in class and like all the work and stuff. I feel like when you have like when you get your students to also like help other students, that helps.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Emmanuel. I think that if the ones who do go to class and if you're able to like kind of encourage them to bring other kids to the Zoom calls and stuff, I think that definitely could work. But again, I think it's like mainly based on like having that relationship also with the students, because I did realize that teachers with like a greater relationship with students, students show up to the classes more.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I have a follow-up based off of the navigating multiple Google Classrooms question. So how was it navigating those multiple, Google Classroom settings? And this is for both of you. Did you feel adequately prepared by your school to utilize the online tools when, we abruptly shifted from in-person school to virtual?
For me, yeah, because even before distance learning, my school already had Google Classroom for each class set up. So when we transitioned to online school, we were already in the classes and they just started posting work there, and that made it more easier.
Me personally, for like the Zoom meeting parts, at first we weren't like really prepared because at first they weren't like telling us that the classes. At first the classes weren't mandatory, and we didn't even know like the information for classes. But then I want to say about 2 3 weeks in, we got like a schedule with all like the information. They sent out letters and stuff like how to join the classes, what time the classes are, and stuff like that. So at first it wasn't really prepared, but then after like they made the schedule and everything, it was fine.
Okay, awesome. So Emmanuel, you shared that they had a little bit of a training of teaching you how to navigate. Juan, did you experience any type of training beforehand with navigating Google Classroom through your school?
No, there was no training, since you know how everything just kind of happened out of the blue. Because even like the day we did transition to distance learning, it wasn't announced until that day. So there wasn't really training, but like I said before, like the Google Classrooms were already there, so it made the transition easier.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
So a question from the audience. One person, Gabriela, she mentioned that she's thinking of doing hands-on activities at home. So would you want to, Emmanuel and Juan, see in the future your teachers maybe send you kits or send you something in the mail so where you could do it over Zoom or virtually build something together?
That sounds nice, but I'm not sure about like the mail part. I feel like maybe if they like shared some like a worksheet that we could print out at home or something like to look at home or something like that. Maybe because we didn't do that at my school, but I'm not sure. But I feel like worksheets or something like that we could do. Or I don't know.
I personally love that idea, and I think it's a great idea, and students would be engaged to work on it, hopefully. So yeah, I love the idea.
So, thinking on the same theme of projects and assignments you can do virtually, from the spring when everything was done virtually, what was your favorite project or assignment, and how do you think other teachers could do that with their own students?
My favorite project was our project where we had to recreate masterpieces with things we had in our house, and that was pretty fun. Seeing all the other students' different creations and what they used and what they did. So to me, that was fun.
My favorite assignment from school was we started working on it at like in person, but it was an assignment. It was our final project, and it was for English. And what we had to do was like during the year we wrote like every single day for class, and it was like a short, like little like answer to a prompt that we had. And they were called My Stories. And at the end, what we did is we just like we were supposed to compile it in a book, but since we were at home, we just did it into like a Google Doc, and we took all the stories and we put them together, and we put like a little picture at the end of us and like a little quote that we wanted. And that was like my favorite one because it was just like a little book and it felt like it was mine. It didn't feel like something that I was like forced to do, but it was just my words that like I expressed.
Hmm. Thank you both so much. So, another question that was posed was, with everything that's going on in your experiences and how education is being delivered, we don't know what education is going to look like even in a few months. So, as high school students, how do you think COVID has impacted your way of your view of college?
Personally, it's not. I'm not sure how because I haven't really thought college all the way. I've thought about college, but like right now, I'm trying to focus more on like my 11th
Hmm.
grade because 11th grade is like they said is like the hardest. So like right now, I'm trying to get through like 11th grade, make sure I'm good with that, and then if college is still virtual, I feel like it might help in some ways because I like at well, if they do it the same way that my school is doing it now, I feel like it would help because at my school we have like more time to turn in our assignments and they're giving us more like videos to watch and more like different resources, and like the classes aren't as long, so it's not really like too boring, and we have like more time to work on it during the day. So I feel like if colleges are like that, it would be easier.
For me, I think that I definitely still do want to go to college, but I think it can kind of like be a turnoff because, I kind of want to be there in person, and depending on what college I go to, different time zones. So I might have to wake up at earlier time or my class might be later. So I think that's a very important thing to notice.
Thank you so much, both. So, another question that I think is really important to be asked, and going back to what we were mentioning about the protests that have been going on and COVID going on concurrently, what do you both want educators to know about you and your world, your personal world and your personal life during this time to meet your needs as a human, right? Not just as an educator, but as two people trying to support each other. How can teachers help you feel safe and supported?
Um, I feel like a way that they can help me feel supported is like during like the process, like if they see it, they can like stand in solidarity. I feel like with us, like they could like talk to us about it and like say that like they're there for us. Like they can like make sure that like we're feeling okay and things like that.
Um, my teachers, some of them like let us have their phone numbers, so in case if we do need to talk with someone, they said, "Oh, you
Mhm.
can text me and I'll be there." And even our principal, she opened up her email and she's like, "If you guys need anyone to talk to, I am 100% here. Please email me. Feel free to." So I feel like that was really nice to have.
And do you think you had the adequate mental health support during the spring?
I think, yeah, because I had teachers supporting me, and also, again, like how I mentioned before, the advisory, which was like a class every morning before actual school started, and that really checked up on our mental health.
Yeah. I support what Juan said. Like, with my organization at school, like before class started, we would talk about something, or even with SGLI, we had like a little like Zoom meeting where we talked about things like that. And I feel like that helped.
So do you think one recommendation you would give is for teachers to hold the space for their students? Is that sort of what your advisory was like, Juan?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I would say yeah, it was. And then,
Yeah,
like,
so tell me
they
more
also
about
had,
the advisory.
so they would link us a lot of videos about, mental health, and like, oh, what you can do to release what's on your mind, how to better yourself as a person, how to better your behavior. And a lot of it was links, articles you can read. Again, like, they would leave their emails. We would have cool downs, and we would say like, oh, okay, what did you learn from this lesson? How would you use it in your life? What do you find? What is things you most value? If it was like a lot of things, honestly, but it was really nice to have.
Thank you both.
And a final question for both of you. If you could, direct this to any educators that are listening right now, are there any forms of technology or resources that you have come across during this time that you would appreciate your teachers integrating into your school day?
Well, something that well, we've done it before, like at school, but I feel like Kahoots are fun. I feel like they really get like students engaged, like they're trying to like answer the questions and like they make them think. I feel like that could be done like in the morning, like before like class starts too, and I feel like it helps like get students engaged. I know when I'm doing the Zoom, like my mind is like working hard, and I'm trying to like think as fast as I can, and I feel like it helps like gets my brain moving. I feel like that if my teachers like did that more, I'm what's the word I'm looking for? I I'm engaged. I'm engaged in class, but I feel like that would get students more engaged too.
Thank you.
No, again, I have to agree with Emmanuel. I
Don't
think Kahoot is so fun. Like, I always get so competitive when it comes to Kahoot. And another thing that teachers do in my school is like a Quizlet. It's like Quizlet Kahoot. And in that one, you can kind of work with other students to team up and answer the questions, which is also really fun too.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for your responses. I appreciate you both for sharing your experiences and the ways that your educators have done well to support you during this time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for joining us this morning and for all you've shared with us. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the audience, myself included, who really appreciate your input.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Thanks, everyone. What a wonderful panel. If you are looking at the chat, it's on fire right now with lots of gratitude to all of you. And really want to say thank you to each of you. And also thank you to our wonderful summer intern at the CDE Foundation, Ashley, for moderating the chat and for raising questions up. Really appreciate it. I'm going to share a couple of notes as you all get ready for the rest of the event. And we're almost to our break. So give me 1 second to share my screen. So a couple of features that we want to make sure that everyone takes advantage of during our event. On the left-hand panel, there's a networking feature. If you click into the networking feature, you will be randomly paired with someone else for a quick chat. So make sure to do that if you have time during the breaks. So take advantage of the opportunity to connect. Also, make sure to check out the expo hall. Our education partners are here to support you. And if you check out some of them, definitely have some exciting prizes if you connect with them. So make sure to connect with our education partners. And lastly, please stay for lunch. After the keynote, at the educator panel keynote, the sessions will open up so that you can create your own session and create it based on a topic or based on an area of interest or something you need help with. Anything you want. It's unconference style, and we encourage you to stick around and have lunch with us after the final keynote. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I am going to hang out here in the main stage area until the next session. If there's any questions about navigating the panel or navigating the platform, we're here to help. You can also, if you have any problems throughout the day, there's a help desk in the sessions. So make sure, take a break. The next session will start in 15 minutes at 10 o'clock. In the sessions button, the sessions that start at 10 o'clock will open up at 9:55. So you'll be able to join a session at 9:55. And if there are any other questions, I'm here and we'll hang out here until for another 5 or 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please feel free to share them in the stage chat. And otherwise, have a great rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you back here at the stage for our educator panel keynote focused on building community with your staff and colleagues later today.